All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something that I know can feel a little intimidating: strategic planning. You hear that phrase, and for a lot of ministries, it just sounds like something for a corporate boardroom, not a church council meeting, right? But what if we completely flipped that script? What if planning was actually a powerful spiritual discipline? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today. And look, before we go any further, let's ground ourselves right here. This whole idea, it's not some new concept from a business school. The principle of planning, of seeking wisdom, it's literally right there in Scripture. This isn't about a lack of faith, not at all. It's about applying wisdom to our faith. So this really brings us to the core question, the one we all have to ask ourselves. Is your ministry actually planning for real impact? Or are you just staying busy? You know the feeling, right? That constant cycle of activities and programs. The difference between real impact and just being busy, well, it almost always comes down to having a clear, prayerful plan. Okay, so that leads us perfectly into our first section, the why. We're talking about planning as faith in action. See, before we can even get to the nuts and bolts, the how-to stuff, we have got to understand the spiritual foundation. Why is this so absolutely crucial for any ministry? Yeah, it's so easy to fall into this trap, right? This misconception that planning is just a corporate distraction. But the reality, it's a powerful act of wise stewardship. It's not about being corporate, it's about being faithful. It's about looking at all the precious resources God has given us, our time, our people, our finances, and prayerfully asking, how can we use every single bit of this with intention for His glory? So, why is this so essential? I mean, really, why? Well, it all comes down to this. We're not planning to control the future. We're planning to be faithful in the present. Just think about it for a second. Good planning helps us steward our resources wisely. It helps us fulfill the Great Commission way more effectively. It honors God because we're operating with clarity and intention. And it brings everyone together with excellence and unity. When you see it like that, planning isn't some boring chore. It's actually an expression of worship. All right, so that's the why. Now let's move on to the what. What are we even defining here? This is all about getting crystal clear on your divine direction. And we have to do this before we even think about making a to-do list. Okay, mission versus vision. This is a place where so many organizations get tripped up, but it's actually pretty simple. Think of it this way. Your mission is your anchor. It's your fundamental purpose, the reason you exist right now. It holds you steady. Your vision, on the other hand, is your compass. It's that compelling future you're heading toward. It gives you direction. You absolutely need both. So let's dig into that mission a little more. This is your foundation, your mission-first anchor. And please hear this. It is not just a catchy slogan you stick on your website. It's a prayerful statement, deeply rooted in Scripture, that defines your core purpose. Every single decision you make, from the budget to the next event, should be measured against it. And it's from that solid mission that your vision can really take flight. Your vision takes that core purpose and just paints this compelling picture of the future. It answers that exciting question. If we are absolutely nailing our mission, what does our community look like? That's what gets people fired up. That's what inspires everyone to move forward with real passion. Okay, so we've got our why, our spiritual foundation, and our what, our mission and vision. Now for the fun part, the how. Let's look at some simple tools for clarity. And here's the best part. You do not need a business degree to do this stuff. These are really simple but incredibly powerful tools that can work for any ministry, no matter the size. So, how do you get started? It's actually a really simple two-step process. First, you've got to root your ministry in those prayerful mission and vision statements we just talked about. Once that's solid, you conduct a simple SWOT analysis with your leadership team. So, what in the world is a SWOT analysis? Well, SWOT just stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And let me tell you, it is a fantastic tool for having a really honest conversation. The internal stuff is your strengths and weaknesses, like having a strong volunteer base but maybe an outdated facility. Then the external stuff is the opportunities and threats out in your community, like a growing population of young families but maybe a tough local economy. When you do this, you get this incredibly clear, totally honest snapshot of where you are right now. Okay, so you've done your SWOT, you've assessed your reality, now what? The magic isn't in just making the lists. The real power comes from what you do next. You take that clear picture and you use it to set goals that actually move your vision forward. And the absolute best way to set goals is to make them SMART. That stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Honestly, this little acronym is a total game changer. It's what takes you from a fuzzy idea like, we should do more outreach, to a concrete, actionable plan like, we will host 3 specific outreach events for new families in the next 6 months. See the difference? It creates clarity, accountability, and just real, tangible momentum. All right, let's get to our final section, the application. Because let's be real, a plan that just sits on a shelf is completely useless. The real work, the important part, is bringing that vision to life day in and day out. And this brings up a really common misconception, a major pitfall. People will create this beautiful, detailed, strategic plan and then treat it like it's carved in stone and can never, ever change. That is a recipe for disaster. Why? Because ministry happens in a messy, unpredictable, constantly changing world. So what's the best practice? You have to build in what's called adaptive capacity. All that means is that your plan is a living, breathing document. It's not about just checking boxes on a static plan. It's about creating a flexible strategy that lets you respond to God's leading and to the real needs of your community as they pop up. So how do you make sure your plan stays alive and doesn't just collect dust on a shelf? Well, there are 3 keys to a living plan. First, you have to foster collaborative ownership. Get everyone involved, leaders, volunteers, everybody. When they help build it, they'll help see it through. Second, monitor your progress regularly. This is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. And third, conduct an annual strategic review. Make time once a year to step back, pray, and make sure you're still on track. So as we wrap this up, let's be really clear. Planning isn't about replacing faith with formulas. It's not about trying to box God in or control every little outcome. No, it's about applying faith with foresight. It's about taking the mission He's given us so seriously that we apply wisdom and real intentionality to it. That's faith in action. Because the goal at the end of the day is to empower ministries to operate with excellence, unity, and that faith-driven foresight we've been talking about. It's about moving from just passion to purposeful action. So I want to leave you with one final question to think about. What is the one conversation you can start this week to get your ministry planning with more purpose? Who do you need to talk to? Your pastor? Your leadership team? Don't wait for the perfect time because it'll never come. Just start the conversation.